Let me break this down to you from, man, at least 7 years of coaching and even longer training myself. Some of the biggest mistakes that I had made in my early days of training, trying to gain muscle, compared to now how I like to think about training, my approach to keeping good energy levels while still building a great physique with strength focus. So I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. When I started, I was around 15 years old. I'm 26 now. It's been 11 years. And I was just doing random bodyweight stuff. So I was just looking at all Mike Cheng's six-pack shortcut videos back in the day. And I was really just finding whatever I could on the internet and applying and going through a lot of trial and error, having zero understanding of the context of the information that I was actually implementing. I just thought, okay, well, if they've got the physique, let me just do it with zero context. Okay, so I didn't know anything about my nutrition requirements and I was just doing as much as I could physically. So I kept doing this and I was doing it with quite an extreme approach. Basically going as hard as I could every single day with the mentality that the more that I do, the better results that I'll get, with zero understanding as well of the kind of quality of work that I was doing. It was more of a, if I felt fatigued, then I thought I was doing something, and that's actually just not the case. And as the years went through, and eventually I started getting mentors after a 2-year period of exercising 6 to 7 days a week, 2 hours at a time. I was 64 kilos at the beginning of that time frame, and at the end, I was still 64 kilos. By that period of time, I decided to get help, custom help. And once I implemented that, I basically took a period where I trained less and I completely put my trust and faith on that customized approach. It made me train less, it made me train more specific, and it made me get my technique really dialed in. And after that period of time, I was actually starting to get better results, which really confused me. I was doing less, but I was getting more. And fast forward implementing that strategy for a prolonged period of time, I got to approximately 87 kilos, quite bulked up, yes, because there was a period I was doing a bit more powerlifting focus. And then I cut down to around 80 kgs, which I'm sitting at right now, around that 80 kilo mark. So that's a 16 kilo gain of muscle. Yeah, and I would say that my body fat percentage levels are on average around that 12, maybe 13% if I'm pushing a bit more of a surplus. So yeah, over that period of time, I really learnt that quality is a lot more important as well than we think, and that there is a sweet spot of gains that you can really achieve when it comes to building muscle, all right? So over that period of time, what I learned was technique is absolutely crucial, and it does mean, yes, to strip the weight down temporarily, push the ego aside to learn that really good technique, understanding how to use your body to activate certain muscles that we want to use in certain movements. As an example, using your glutes in a squat and so on and so forth, right? Getting the technique dialed, okay? Even if it means stripping the weight back down temporarily, very important. But then it's important not to get stuck in the trap of just being the technique freak and doing good technique but never pushing the envelope. So it's important that you understand how to incorporate intensity within a good level of technique. And then eventually down the line, once you've habituated that, we can talk more about breaking down technique when getting close to failure and things like that. That's a little bit more down the line. And then the biggest thing now that I find really pushes the needle forward with me in my training is not pushing the envelope too much. Because I have a tendency to want to push to the point where I've got nothing left, literally nothing. And as a natural myself, I don't use any enhancements. I find that there's a point of diminishing return where you train, when you've really stimulated the muscles to a point to where they've been stimulated, when you push past that point with just fluff volume, but the quality diminishes, it's really just fatiguing you more, but you're not really getting that great stimulus because you're already quite fatigued. So now it's about incorporating the great technique, the great intensity, but with a very curated level of recovery and knowing when to stop. And of course, making sure that the nutrition is dialed in. So yes, I find that as you mature more in this journey and you get the foundation set, there's not a perfect, but there's a very good sweet spot of training intensity, but recovery that you have to keep balancing. It's a balancing act. So the saying that I like to have here is that you train as hard as you can so that you basically aren't, sorry, let me rephrase that. You train as hard as you can without affecting your recovery for your next session. So if you find that you're not recovered by your next session and it dips into the performance of that session, you went a bit too hard, because now you're losing more potential gains by lowering the quality of that second session compared to if you held back a little bit more in that first session and then you kept intensity up for the second one and you had a greater amount of intensity and volume over those two sessions rather than one hard one. So it's being able to understand that. So my advice is choose a training split that works for you, which means how many days a week that you're gonna go and what body parts you train. So choose the amount of days that you're willing to commit to, maybe 3 times a week, 4 times, and then choose a training split that works with that. If you do 3 times a week, you could do full bodies every time, or you could do upper, lower, and a full body. As an example, if you do 4 days a week, you just go upper, lower, and then just make sure that you have what I just said in mind, which is pushing the envelope, and then also making sure that you still have enough time to recover between those sessions. I like to train on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. And that session on Tuesday is an upper body day. The Monday is the lower body day. But that Tuesday session, I'm basically doing movements that aren't as demanding on my body. So I can get away with doing a back-to-back sesh. And literally that's all I do. I do those 4 sessions. I've got a very good gauge of technique and intensity. I eat in a way that supports it. I take care of my recovery. And literally this is how I live my life. And it's a great way to stay consistent for me in my life. And because I'm doing it long enough with great quality, I'm always moving the needle forward. The physique, the strength just continues to develop. And if you can find that combination that just works for you and have that great foundation of knowledge and technique and intensity, man, you're gonna go a long way. That's how you build a great physique, is being able to do it for the rest of your life, finding an approach that works for you for the rest of your life. Hope that helps. If you do want a little bit of more tailored advice, you want an approach to work and understand that foundation of technique, and then also a structure of workouts that you can do and how to progress each and every single week, feel free to check the links in the description. Obviously I do coaching as well, so that's a little bit of an option there. Take a read through the website and make your own decision. Regardless, this is my advice to you on your journey of getting in shape.